Good afternoon, everyone. Well, welcome to 435 class. Hope my reps are available for attendance. Gideon.
Good afternoon, ma.
Okay. Gideon, where did you run to? Are you the Allah Gideon, right?
I'm the one, ma.
Okay, let's continue. So, my co-host, help me take attendance now. Today, we're going to start with diterpenoids. We are going to finish this slide today. I know I've shared the slide, so I know we have studied and gone through all the end of the slide. I know some people have not even opened that slide. Okay. So today we are going to talk about diterpenoids and triterpenoids. Okay, diterpenoids, from the onset, we talk about that their precursor is geranyl pyrophosphate. So these diterpenes or diterpenoids are obtained from resins or gummy exudates. You know that some part of the plant that when you cut them, they will be bringing something that is milkish and some of them will be gummy. So they are the source of diterpenes. At times, after distillation of essential oil, the aqueous fraction can contain some element of diterpenes. Diterpenoids, remember, if you are talking about diterpenoids, I'm talking about oxygenated form now. They are the physiological active components. Whenever you're talking about oxygen, presence of oxygen makes all this essential oil much more potent. Okay, example we are talking about is vitamin A, your popular retinol. Retinol is good for the eyes, we know. It's good for the skin and anti-aging because they're potent antioxidants. We also have phytohormones, which means the hormones that helps to regulate growth of plant and germination. We also have fungal hormones. Okay, we have disease-resistant agent, which we talk about as phytoalexins. When we are talking about the benefits of or role of monoterpenoids. And we also talk about cancer drug, like the popular one is Taxol. We also talk about cancer promoter. They are all terpenoids. They are all diterpenoids. We also have our natural cannabinoids. These are all diterpenes. Diterpenes, you can also see them in open chain when you talk about the phytol. Phytol is a very important essential oil component, okay, because it is a potent antioxidant. So, talking about diterpenes, what will come to your mind if you forget anything is vitamin A, retinol. We also have abietic acid, we have phytol, okay, retinol, okay, yeah. Okay, retinol is very, very important. So you should be able to understand the structure of this retinol. Now, retinol can undergo reaction. When this retinol undergoes oxidation reaction, it's going to form retinal. And further oxidation is going to form retinoic acid. So you should be able to understand this retinol and the reactions of retinol. Oxidation reaction of retinol to form retinal and retinoic acid. These are isomers of retinol. Okay, so meaning that when I have my retinol, if I don't keep it well, remember that's why they say retinol is sensitive to light. Now, when you are applying retinol as in your skincare regimen, you're told don't use it in the day because it's photosensitive. So there's a tendency that the retinol can be oxidized and form retinal and can further be oxidized to retinoic acid. Okay, and when this happens, it becomes counter effective. Some people start having some series of reactions because of that oxidative reaction that is taking place because of interaction with sun. Okay, having said that, you should be able to know retinol, the structure of retinol, and the isomers, which is retinal and retinoic acid. Should we also be able to know the structure of abietic acid? Okay, so these are all diterpenes. If you look at my phytol, you can see there's elements of retinol in phytol. Okay, so this is an abietic acid, and this taxol. I said taxol. These are all terpenoids. So to be able to know at least two structures of terpenoid, all the structures monoterpenoid, you should be able to know at least two of each of the classes. The best way to know this is just for you to constantly practice the structures. Taxol is a very important active drug in use as anti-cancer agent, although it's full of side effects. Okay. Jesus. I think it's because I'm using laptop and phone. That's why I'm always taking time to move the slide. Sorry about that. So this is a structure of abietic acid. This structure of taxol. Abietic acid is an irritant compound. So it means that this is one of the things you can see in your varnishes. Okay, and is an irritant, meaning that even if they're adding it, they're going to add in a very small quantity because of this side effect. Because these are structures of abietic acid. So let's go to triterpenoid. Triterpenoids. Now we'll talk about monoterpenes or monoterpenoid. We'll talk about diterpenoid. You should know the precursor of monoterpenes, precursor of diterpene. I said diterpene is geranyl, geranyl diphosphate. You should be able to know the precursor of triterpenoid. The precursor of triterpenoid is squalene. This squalene form squalene epoxide. This squalene form squalene epoxide when reacts with an enzyme which is called squalene exoxidase. This squalene exoxidase is going to use NADH, DPH, and oxygen to oxidize squalene. So when this squalene is oxidized, it's going to pass through so many steps. Okay. First step is going to form a sterol, then finally form lanosterol and cholesterol. So meaning the precursor for cholesterol and lanosterol is my squalene. The precursor for sterol is squalene. So when you talk about steroids, the precursor is squalene. Now, this cholesterol and cholesterol, or talk about squalene. Squalene itself is a very good active in skincare products. Squalene is also present in your earwax. Squalene is that one of the components that make olive oil the most healthiest oil. So, in this reaction, you can realize that from squalene, under several steps, we are going to form lanosterol. And from that squalene, under several steps, you're going to also form cholesterol. So squalene is a precursor for both lanosterol and cholesterol. So these are a table showing us some of the essential terpenoids, their source, meaning the plant or the source where we can obtain them, and their structures. So other examples of triterpenes like this, see cholesterol we're talking about, we have cholesterol A and we have cholesterol B. So this cholesterol, I think there's another section of this course which is talking about steroid, that's chlorophyll and steroid, that Professor Asekunowo is going to handle. And you're going to talk about details of this cholesterol. So then it will be emphasis will be laid on different types of steroids, cholesterol, and their differences. Okay, but now we are not interested in that in this section of the class. What's the essence of terpenoids in nature? Why do we really need to know, think about this terpenoid? Are they really essential? They are very, very essential. Terpenoids are present in so much plant. Virtually every plant has terpenoids. Animals and microorganisms, including you as an individual. Like all the metabolites, these terpenoids are very useful. They have three major roles: the functional role, defense role, and communication. Functional is in man, defense and communication is mainly in animals. Okay, because of they use this essential oil to defend themselves or communicate. Communicate either to tell you come or don't come. Okay. So in this slide, we're talking about the structure of retinol, the structure of calciferol. Calciferol is a precursor in synthesis of vitamin D. We also talk about tocopherol. Tocopherol is your popular vitamin E, and we talk about chlorophyll A. So all these are terpenoids, including our chlorophyll. They are terpenoid. Remember, when you talk about terpenoid, you can talk about steroids. Summary of what we are going to talk about in terpenoid. Talk about the isoprene unit. To talk about oxygenated section. We also talked about the biosynthesis of these terpenoids. Talk about the pathway you're going to follow to obtain your flavonoid, like the schematic diagram that we have. I will talk about mevalonic pathway as pathway for synthesis of terpenoid. I will also talk about examples of monoterpenes. We'll talk about sesqui. We'll talk about we talked about triterpenes. So you should be able to know the structure and some of the synthesis that we talked about. And I also stress that you should be able to know the structure of some diterpene, especially retinol. Also understand the reactions that can convert retinol to retinal and to retinoic acid. And squalene is also a major component of shark liver oil. Squalene is very, very essential. It's very useful. So whenever I see anything that contains squalene, it's useful internal and also useful external. Now we talk about lycopene. Lycopene is one of the, okay. We talked about the sextaterpenes. Sextaterpenes are obtained from precursor called geranifanasol, but these are very rare. We also talk about tetraterpenes, which will talk about your tomato. This is lycopene. Lycopene is a major component of our tomato. That's what gives the tomato the bright color. We also talk about carotene. We have gamma carotene, we have alpha carotene, we have beta carotene. These are what gives our carrot the bright orange color. Okay, we also have polyterpene. Polyterpene are the longest chain. Okay, when C is C is higher than 40, so that's when we're going to have rubber. So meaning rubber is a natural product. These are some IUPAC name of these terpenes. Okay, but nobody will be expecting you to give the IUPAC name, just for you to know that these terpenes also have their IUPAC identity. Homework. So we're going to solve this homework. Write out the structures of the following compounds. State which of the classes of terpenoid they belong, and identify the subprime unit in each of the compounds. Number 2, nerol and geraniol cyclize under the influence of acid to form alpha terpenol. Give an example of the reaction. That thing has been given there, but I don't want you to look at it the way it's given. I want you to try and see if you can be able to reproduce it. That's a question they've given you. For question 1, I'm not taking question 2, but practice question 2. So my own question 2 is that the reactions of retinol or the isomers of retinol, the reactions versus isomers of retinol. That's number 2 question, besides this number 1. I'm going to share the other slide. Okay, this is the end of this particular section of the class. We have so much to do. Now, question 2B, what are the precursor of tri and diterpenoids? What are the precursor of tri and diterpenoid? That is B, then that's BI, BII. Okay. Draw the structure of alphabetic acid if it's not part of that other ones I was given. Structure of alphabetic acid if it's not part. So add that structure of alphabetic acid to question number 1 among the structures you're going to draw. So add it alphabetic acid. And the last question for today is, what are the roles of terpenoids in nature? What are the roles of terpenoid in nature? So I want us to ask questions from beginning to the end of this particular slide. As I plan to start the other class, so let me work on the other slides. Ask your question. Ask your question.
Good afternoon, ma.
You're welcome.
You said for that question too, you said the first question was reaction of retinol versus isomer, right?
Yes. The reaction and isomer is the same thing. So put the reactions, put the isomers. Because the difference between reactions and isomer is telling us how the arrow is going and what is helping the arrow.
Okay, ma.
True or false? The essence is that so that when you come to exam hall and you see reactions, you understand it. And when you come to exam hall, they said isomers, you also understand it. They are virtually the same. I can use my equation and indicate the isomers. I've done the same thing. But the essence is that I'm using the equation. I've indicated that I understand what I'm doing. I did not just memorize. So leave it like that. Isomer versus reactions of retinol. I think any other question? I think we can't just use 30 minutes, it's too small. So we work on the second slide. We're going to talk about flavonoid now. I'm going to share the slide of flavonoid. The floor is open. If you have questions, just ask your question. Nobody will beat you for asking question. What don't you understand? What's confusing you? Ask the question now.
Good afternoon, ma.
Good afternoon.
Ma, this number 1, is it A to I?
I'll look at it again because some of the structures analysis. I'll look at it again.
Okay.
Let me just finish what I'm doing. Any other question? So, let me watch my- There's no other question. Okay, let me look at that question. Okay, we're going to do A, we're going to do B, we're going to do C, we're going to do T, we're going to do G, we're going to do L. So we're going to skip H, E, and D. Is that clear? How many? When you remove the 3, how many do we have left? Camphin, carofilin, alpha-pinene, limonene, phenacetin, and myosin. That's what you're doing. Is that person that asked question, are you cleared?
Ma, sorry, you said A, B, C,
Yes.
D.
No. A, B, C, F,
F. Okay.
G, and I.
Okay, ma. Thank you, ma.
Thank you. Okay, so let me work on the other slides. I'm expecting you guys to ask me questions. So let me start talking about flavonoid while I upload the material. Flavonoid are potential antioxidants. Flavonoid are those phytochemicals that is being seen by virtue of colors. When you're eating your veggies, you see there are different colors. There's some. There was one time I saw, is it a potato that it has something like, is it purple color or something? And I've seen some of the garden egg that have some colors. So some of those colors are evidence of flavonoids. You see some plants. That plant like there's one plant they call ringworm plants. Plant they used to ela they Yoruba call it ela or something. They used to birth children because of eczema. The color is somehow as if it's bloody somehow wine colored. So all these are evidence of flavonoid. So far, flavonoid are component of fruit. That's why they're potent antioxidant. And it's flavonoid that make fruits and veggies to be very healthy. Presence of flavonoid that made them to be very, because they're antioxidants. And we have different types of flavonoid. Take one apple a day, keep the doctor away, is because of quercetin as a flavonoid in your apple. And the funny enough is that this quercetin is more abundant on the skin. And because of the bad world we are in, the skin is not even okay because of chemical they use in preserving all this. And that's why most people will just start peeling out the skin. But virtually you're removing what you need. The flavonoid is very, now in your chocolate, is a flavonoid that makes chocolate to be antioxidant. They say, take chocolate. But not some of you that will go and take all these sweet sugar chocolates they will add milk. Some of them will add something like nuts. That one is not the chocolate you are talking about. Chocolate you are talking about here is dark chocolate. That dark chocolate is a potent antioxidant. They are very, very important. Very, very good for the skin. Okay, so something like watermelon, all these are very good. So whenever you want to go and buy, whenever you're eating, make sure you have some elements of this in your meal. Some of us will stay 1 week without buying fruits, but we'll go and buy all the jekuje, all the chicken and chips. And before we know it, you start feeling sick. You say, Nigeria weather no good for you. But in you days, the cost have not been Nigerian weather. Some people will say, the stress of Unilag is making me sick. This Unilag has is external stress, but what is making you sick mainly is internal stress, which is oxidation. Now, as I'm still waiting for this, we're going to talk about why do we need antioxidants? Why do we need antioxidants? Remember, anti is against. So antioxidants are those active that is against oxidants, and which is they are against oxidative reactions. So they combat oxidation. Now, because the essence of this course is not just for you to read and pass, it's for you to understand how to optimize naturals for your health. Now, whenever you're passing through stress, cortisol and some other hormones are being released, which are stress hormones. And these stress hormones are oxidative hormones. So when you pass through the stress and you're thirsty, when you're thirsty, your system is not telling you, I need something chill. No, your system is telling you, I am dehydrated. I need to be rehydrated. So instead of you to go and take water, you go and pick lacasera. You go and pick Coke. You go and pick Five Alive. Nipa. So what you're doing at that particular point, you're picking those things, is that you're increasing the stress occurring in your system. You're increasing the stress occurring in your system. So that's why you end up having been down with maybe malaria, typhoid, or blah, blah, blah. If they say it's stress, it's not just because of stress, because in the midst of stress, you're still adding stress. So whenever you're stressed like that, what do? Go and take a glass cup of water. Not cold water, normal water. Take water, then rest your head so that the oxidative reaction that occur will be reversed. But if you can pick something like fruits, you take fruit and water and sleep. At times, the stress you are putting into the system is through our intake. The food you're eating is over-processed food. So not even your lifestyle of stress, the intake might be the problem of stress. The high problem like kidney problem that is occurring among youth is traceable to the lifestyle. You see, youth of this day, most of you now, if I ask, most of you are not cooking in the hostel, which is just the truth. And most of you that don't even like cooking, hostel is a perfect place. So you have natural excuse why you're not cooking. So when you're not living well, you're stressing your system. And that's what the essence. Why is stress bad? Stress is not just bad by being bad. Stress is bad because it's going to affect your longevity. Stress can cut your lifespan. They say the silent killer is stress. So whenever you're stressed, whenever you're tired, it's not time to grow up your water of ice water. Some people can even go ahead and chew ice block. No, because you're increasing stress in your system. Another thing that some of us that cannot live without taking shield things must be shield. Please, if you can, start helping yourself. Because or you're eating something like rice using cold water. You're eating suya, you're using cold water, or you've got juice. Some of these things are not good for us. Because whenever you put, that's what causes osteoporosis, brittle bone. So that's why you have to understand this and learn how to live right. If you want to drink water, you can drink just a room temperature water. It must not be cold. And you that like taking Coke, take it easy so that you don't kill your system by allowing your insulin overwork. By the time you know it, they say you have diabetes. Children have diabetes, so don't say, I cannot have diabetes. Nobody, never say never. All we do is to pray. You cannot say never. So as you're praying, also take precaution. Okay, take precaution on your intake. Very, very important. So that we can live long and enjoy this life that God have given us. Because if there's any other life, I don't know about it. This one that I know, let me use it well first. So live right, reduce your processed food, reduce all the sugar, all the drink, reduce them. Eat more of food that grow on the tree than the tree that is being processed from tree. So very, very important. Okay, like I said, flavonoids. So these are colorful, you can see. Red wine are flavonoids. That is a result of fermentation of grapes. This is cocoa, like I told you, is from flavonoid, which is a potent source of proanthocyanin. So this procyanidin is a tannin, and they are very good for the heart. They are also potent anti-diabetic agent. Okay, so that's why they said people that have diabetes should be taking cocoa powder. cocoa powder, because except you can get bitter chocolate, which is dark chocolate. If not, cocoa powder is very healthy. Presence of why cocoa powder is because of tannin, and that tannin is the active that is very useful as anti-diabetic. Okay, so that's the essence of that. So you can see citrus. Citrus contains flavonoid called flavanone. You can see green tea is also a potent source of flavonoid, and berries. That's why these things are very useful for you. They say take fruits. Why are we taking fruits? Because of this. These are potent source of antioxidants that at the end of the stress of the day, they will help combat oxidative reaction that occur in your system during your day activities. So don't stay a day without taking at least small fruits. Fruit is more expensive than your juice, and but more fruit is not as expensive as your juice, but it's much more beneficial. Somebody say, I can't afford food. You can afford it. When problem comes, you realize you'll be eating that food, but then it will be problem because it's better to prevent. By the time they say you have problem, say be eating food, by then you eat it too. It will not give you the benefit like it's going to give you when you start feasting on them early in life. Okay. So in this class, you should be able to tell us what is reactive oxygen. What is reactive oxygen species? We call it ROS, or free radicals. You should be able to define free radicals. You should be able to define what an antioxidants are. You're expected to know this. So reactive oxygen species are oxidants. They are oxidants in the body that when left unscavenged, they are going to form cell. That's why we talk about cancer cells. So the essence of antioxidant is to break the reaction that stress of the day wanted to start because of ROS. So it terminates it. So the reaction cannot go. So by releasing ROS, you can see them as O2 minus. So by releasing something like hydrogen, it's going to neutralize them. A reaction that will bring neutralization to this reactive oxygen species or radicals. So antioxidants are compounds that enhance or mimic antioxidant enzymes, because in the body there are natural antioxidant enzymes, but because the one we overwork, we are going to be depleted of these natural enzymes that serves as antioxidants. These antioxidants are also useful to repair cellular components, and they are pro-oxidants, and they help in deactivation of pro-oxidant metal. Now, now when you start doing your project and you want to do antioxidant activity, you realize that there are so many models of antioxidation. We have scavenging. Okay, we also have metal chelating. So we have so many methods to determine that this compound can be a potent source of antioxidants for me. So in the content, we're going to talk about the introduction, the structure, which has to do with occurrence, nomenclature. We're going to talk about the flavonoid in general. We're going to talk about the catechins, the pro-antioxidant, which are the condensed tannins. We're going to talk about the in vitro radical scavenging, redox properties, and mechanism of radical interaction. These are most of things we're going to talk about in this course. So ask your question so far. Ask your question so far. Though we've not gone much, so we've not talked much. Flavonoids are very abundant in nature. If you look around, the world is green. The world is very colorful. That colorful aspect of this world is because of flavonoids. This flavonoid, they occur in higher vascular plants. You can see them mainly in flowers, in leaves, and the bark. They're also very much abundant in your grains, in your nuts, and your fruits. Like I said, they're most abundant in their skins. So skin is much more healthy than peel. But at times, some skin we cannot eat it. Some of us, when they get watermelon, they will just eat the juicy aspect of it, and even the white one, they will not take it. They say it's not sweet. At the end, you're increasing your sugar content. The way God made watermelon is that you take the fruit, you take the pulp, you take the bark and the seed. Because there's something about synergistic effects. If there is sugar in the pulp, the seed and the bark is going to help to neutralize them. So you're not going to feel it be negative, but when you're not taking, just go and take only that juicy pulp, you're increasing your sugar. So please learn how to eat. If possible, when you buy, if you buy it whole, wash it very well with salt and water. Then you can cut and eat whole to obtain the blessings that nature has given to us via flavonoid. Okay. Now, there are some beverages that contains this flavonoid. You see them in beer, in your tea, in wine, and fruit juice. Most fruit juice, though, some of the juice we're talking about is the one you prepared for yourself, not this flavor and sugar that is being packed as fruit for you. Okay, red wine is a very potent flavonoid. Contains a very good high percentage of flavonoid, and that's why it's an anti-aging agent. We are going to stop on this slide. So we're talking about that flavonoid comprises a large group of secondary plant metabolites, because in flavonoid, the higher the number of hydroxy group, the more potent the antioxidant activity. Like if you've forgotten anything, don't forget that green tea is very good. Cocoa powder is very, very nice, very, very healthy. The grape seed you're talking about they are all potent antioxidants, courtesy of flavonoid. So I'll leave you here. We've taken assignment already because there's another class. We have another class, people that are taking 433. I think 433 is supposed to be after now. So in the next class, we're going to talk more about flavonoid. You're going to understand the basic skeleton of flavonoid. You're going to understand types of flavonoids. You're going to be able to draw. This course is full of drawing, but that drawing is when you know them, you know them. Like I said, it's an interesting course, but you must give it the attention it needs. So if there's any other thing, we're going to meet in next class, which is on Wednesday. Okay, we have tomorrow, right? What time do you have this class tomorrow? Gideon? Is Gideon sleeping?
No, the classes are on Monday and Wednesdays, man.
Okay. Tomorrow is 433 and 319.
Yes, ma.
Okay, fine. So we'll see on Monday on this. But please, the questions, do well to share them on the platform so I can add them Google Classroom. Every
Okay.
question, every classwork is going to expire by 11:59. Then when we start our physical classes, the classwork will be done right in the class and submitted on Google Classroom. So people that are doing Ojoro, your same will find you out. So see you in the next class. Enjoy your week.